That'll do it, mate.
Yeah. G'day everybody. We're here with another North Sydney Bears legend. This morning we're sitting down with Micheal Buettner. Thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure,
Michael.
Marty. Thanks for having me.
We'll start off with, you're a Westie, mate. You grew up west of Sydney.
I certainly did, out at Fairfield West. My mum still lives out there now on Smithfield Road. Went to Fairfield West Public School and Westfield Sports High, as it's known now. My last year there at the school was the first year it became a sports high school, so really didn't benefit from any of the, I guess, things that they have in place now in relation to what they offer young athletes. But I guess my claim to fame is I was school captain at the time, so I was probably the first school captain of any sports high school in Australia, possibly the world, possibly the world. So
that's awesome. That's a first for our page.
There you go.
Where'd you go from there, mate? Like in your football wise?
So I was Parramatta local junior. 1991, my last year at high school, I made the Australian schoolboys side. Captain that side. We toured England. Prior to that, I just had a season in SG Ball. Got back from there and Flegg. Had the 1 year in Flegg and then come back. And basically, to be honest with you, I really just wanted to play or secure my spot in the under-21 side for Parramatta. So I had a really big off season, and I remember our first trial match we had for that year was against Western Suburbs, out in Campbelltown somewhere, and I was meant to play 21s. I got the call that morning to say, we need you for reserve grade. And I went along to the game, and I still remember, and back in the day, this is 1992. Reserve grade was, a tough competition. You
absolutely.
Had all the young guys who wanted to make first grade, and you had all the old,
didn't want to come back down.
Ex-first graders who didn't want to be there and just wanted to be up in first grade. So I still remember to this day playing against, watching these forwards bash the crap out of each other. And I was absolutely shitting myself. And I ended up scoring 3 tries that day.
Wow.
But
awesome.
I think it was through fear alone. Because I just didn't want to get tackled. No, I didn't want to get tackled, so I just kept running and running. So so then I end up starting the season in reserve grade. And had 3 games in reserve grade, and then Peter Sterling got hit by David Gillespie, which led to his retirement. And the very next week, I made my debut for Parramatta. So again, another claim to fame is that I replaced Peter Sterling. So that was it. That was round 4, 1992. We played against the Roosters, and I had 4 seasons there at Parramatta, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It was a tough period for Parramatta and for myself in terms of just coming to grips. I look at these players now. Physically, they are so much bigger and stronger.
Absolutely.
And I hadn't really done any weight, so physically, I was nowhere near where I needed to be to compete against some of these guys. I guess, fortunately for me, a bit of skill and luck got me through. But it was just a tough sort of 4 seasons. We had some highlights there throughout those periods, but it was probably a good learning curve for me in terms of just learning and understanding rugby league and what it was about. And it was a little bit tougher back then than it is these days. And again, I'm not begrudging the guys now. And
it's just a different game.
It's a different type of toughness now. And,
absolutely.
Physically, these guys are absolute specimens.
So
from that end, mate, I just got to sort of mid 1995 season and was offered an opportunity to go to the Bears. And it was an interesting time at Parramatta because this was, Super League was happening, and the likes of, Jason Smith, Jared McCracken, Jim Dimmick, Dean Pay were all heading to the club. So there was a real changing of the guard there at Parramatta. And I was offered the opportunity to go to the Bears. And, when I look at the side that the Bears had at the time, the likes of Greg Florimo, Jason Taylor, Matt Sears, Greg Florum, Billy Moore, Gary Larson, Mark Soden. Like, you can rattle off, 1,000 names, and they were all great players. And it was a club who, for me, and I look back on the 90s now, and they were probably the best club in the 90s not to win a comp. When you look at the success they had.
Unreal, wasn't it?
It was a great period for Bears supporters. And so I saw that as an opportunity for me to go and learn more about rugby league, just to progress my career.
Yep.
So I went there in '96, and to be honest with you, I didn't have any expectations about making first grade. I thought, you know what, I've got to prove myself there, and
Yep.
I felt that I did that during the off season. Had a couple of really good trials, and just sort of fitted into that Bears culture, the structure, their style of play.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, spent the next 4 years there, which I really loved. It was a great period of my career, a great period of my life.
Yeah.
And it was probably, and I'll, you know, happy to say this, that it was probably the best period of my career in terms of 4 years of playing really good footy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you had awesome people playing with you, didn't you?
Yeah, mate, I did, and you know, and people say to me, you know, who was the best player you played with, and you know, how did they suit? And it's not necessarily about the best player in terms of, but the player that suited me most was JT. Like his style of play as a halfback suited my game as a running 5'8". Suited my game as a centre. So it was one of those things where it was just a really good fit, and we again, you know, I'm sure you'll hear plenty of the other guys that played in that era talk about it was just a solid group of guys.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, and you know, the camaraderie was solid and strong, and there was a lot of fun to be had. But when it got serious, we knew what the job was.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what, I think we had a massive advantage by playing at probably one of the most picturesque fields or playing fields, and that being North Sydney Oval, because you know, you look at it, you know, it's a different, because it's an oval, it's a different way of playing the game. You need to be aware of your bearings, where to kick the ball, what to aim for when kicking the ball, and I guess JT had that down pat.
Absolutely.
And it was always a struggle for teams that were, the visiting teams anyway, who were coming there to, you know, get their bearings, or you also had the
short end goal too.
Short end goals. You also had the cricket pitch in the middle that everybody tried to avoid because it was bloody rock hard. So, mate, that was just a great period. I really enjoyed. And I know, you know, as a group we get together, you know, the Saturday before the grand final, and just talk about old times and enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I love just walking into Bear Park today. You know, like we go up and watch the New South Wales Cup team, obviously, you know, and when you first walk in there, and you know, the oval's just sitting there and there's people around it, the atmosphere is unbelievable. It's brilliant.
I did it a couple of years ago. I went to a reunion, or you know, one of the old Bears days or whatever it was, and you know, walking up those stairs, it brought back a lot of good memories for me, because you know, that's 20 years ago, or nearly 30 years ago. That, you know, I did that as a player, and to walk in there and to, you know, see the ground again, and to you know, see the old stands, the fig tree, and just, you know, the old scoreboard. It just brought back so many really good memories, and you know, I thoroughly enjoyed my time there at North Sydney. It was
Yassam Countrywide, we get so much access to different parts of the ground. You know, like I walked through the tunnel, you know, where fellas used to run out, you know, where Flo used to yell out, you know, "Come on, Bears," you know. And I just stood there and I just looked at it, and I think, you know, I thought, wow, mate, the legends that have come through this tunnel, you know, not just for Norse, but Artie Bootson and, you know, players like that, Sterlo. You know.
It's true, mate. It's pretty
unbelievable.
And you know what, that still echoes, you know, that "Come on, Bears" every time we ran out in the park, and you know, that was Flo, his way of getting us up, and knowing that we were at home and we had a job to do there. And you know what, 9 times out of 10 we did that job, and we did it well. So like I said, it was a great ground to be a part of. It was a great club to be a part of, and it was a great team to be a part of, because these guys, like I said, we knew how to have fun. We knew how to work hard, and we knew when to, you know, get our game face on and get the job done.
Absolutely.
You know, we had a couple of great opportunities there in '96 and '97 to make grand finals, making it to the preliminary final. We had '98 was a big year for us, and you know, we went out in straight sets in the final series, which was tough to deal with. And,
absolutely.
And '99, I think we were the last team to beat the Melbourne Storm, who went on to win the premiership. I think we were the last team to beat the Melbourne Storm before they went on to win the premiership. So
Yeah.
You know, we had the makings of what was a really good side there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was
Absolutely.
great period.
Yeah. And then you played for the Kangaroos too, did you?
I did. You know what? I was pretty fortunate. You know, and I guess that 4 periods that I had at the Bears was probably one of those times where it reflected the success we had as a team, the confidence I had as a player,
Yep.
and I guess how well I was playing at the time. That, you know, the representative honours came for me, and you know, I played for New South Wales and Australia throughout that time there. And
great effort.
mate, it was, you know what, I'm the original one-game wonder, mate. I played one for New South Wales, one for Australia.
Doesn't matter, mate. You've been there.
I did it, and you know what?
Absolutely.
And again, you know, as I get a little bit older and wiser, I start to realise that there's plenty of guys that didn't necessarily get that opportunity. And
Absolutely.
and look, the only thing that stopped me from playing 2 games for New South Wales or Australia was probably ability. But outside of that, I just, mate, look, I enjoyed my time there. Like, again, I played at Papua New Guinea over there, and to experience that with some of the players that I managed to play with at that time, you know, the likes of Andrew Johns, you know, Jeff Tuvey, who I played with at Northern Eagles, Spud Carroll. You know, there was just, mate, it was just you know, Rod Wishart.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm very fortunate, and I'll always look back on, you know, my playing career, and mate, I was just for me, I was just a simple guy who was given a God-given talent and ability to play rugby league, and thankfully I was able to take advantage of it
absolutely. And you did
maximise that to, you know, the level I did. And you know, to now go to reunions, and it's funny, you know, I was at a function, a golf day only last Friday, and I had the opportunity to interview both Cliff Lyons, Steve Menzies, Matt Orford, and Brett Camorley.
Yeah, right.
And as a footy fan,
mate.
right,
They're brilliant.
They're all guys that I've played either with or against, right, throughout my career. But I'm going through their stats the night before, and I'm looking at it going, these guys are absolute legends. And to be regarded as a peer amongst that group, and you know what, and I look at the likes of Gary Larson, you know, Greg Florimo, Jason Taylor, Billy Moore, you know, all the guys that I've played with. And you know, I know I've isolated a couple of them there, but it's not to disrespect any of the guys that I play with, but to be considered peers and to feel a part of that, you know, what I would consider a unique family.
Absolutely.
Is pretty special, and you know what, I don't lose sight of that, because I just, mate, it's such a big part of your life when you're going through it. And to be able to have done that, mate, I would go back and do it all again tomorrow. And I dare say any player that you've interviewed, any player that you've worked with would probably say the same thing. And what they may be, I'm not disappointed that I don't play, because I don't wake up on Monday mornings anywhere near as sore as what I used to. But for me, just the fact that, you know, to be able to work, and I use the word work in inverted commas, to be able to work with your best mates every day, and then go out on the weekend and put everything that you've worked on through the week into practice, and to be able to, you know, have to rely on that person to cover you in the event that you miss a tackle, or that you drop the ball, or whatever it is, right? That you've made a mistake, that you know, you've got each other's back and you're working hard for each other, and there's that one common goal, and that is to be ahead of the scoreline after 80 minutes.
That's right.
Right, and then, you know what, you want to do that as many times as you can throughout the season, which means you get yourself into the finals, which then suddenly means you hopefully get to that.
The big one.
Correct. You know what, and it is. It's a massive achievement to be able to do that, to get into the finals, and you know, it actually makes you appreciate all the hard work and all the you know, the blood, sweat, and tears that you go through to get to that point. And you know, the Holy Grail was unfortunately beyond us in terms of the Bears.
It wasn't that far, but
no, it wasn't.
Just, we were there. We were close. We were very, very close.
We
just couldn't get over the line.
Couldn't get over the line. That fig tree curse, apparently.
Okay, Digger. What are your thoughts on the Bears becoming the 18th team, mate? And where do you think we would settle in if we did become the 18th team?
Look, I love the idea, and I know that the club are working extremely hard on becoming the 18th franchise. And the positive thing, I guess, in relation to where that stands is, I don't think 18 we're going to stop there as a game. I think it might be 19 and 20.
Yeah.
Right, which probably gives me even more hope that we might see the red and black back at some stage. And I think for, the fans out there, I think it's something that they should continue to
Absolutely.
not give up hope on, because ultimately I think our chairman Daniel Dixon and
He's doing a great job.
Doing a great job,
They all are.
and Gareth Holmes,
Yep.
JT obviously, leading the New South Wales Cup side.
Yep.
There's a lot of people behind the scenes. Greg has obviously been a big part of flow that entire period. But I look at all those things and I go, what, this is where I'd love to see it happen. Will it happen in Sydney? Look, unlikely. We've got enough teams in Sydney.
Yep.
For me, it'll be purely a commercial decision, and that will include TV.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh,
and the benefits in relation
Absolutely.
to time zones.
Yeah.
So, Perth is obviously a viable option. The Pacific Bears is a viable option, and whatever that looks like. Look, ultimately, I think if we see the Bears logo and the red and black, I actually don't care where it is.
No,
to be honest with you,
I don't. I think there's a lot. There's a lot of people that want us to stay North Sydney, but it's just not.
It's not viable. Look, there's already 9 teams in Sydney, or 10, whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's too many. They're not going to bring another team in Sydney.
Yeah.
You've got Brisbane as an option, another Brisbane side, or Queensland
Yeah.
team as such. You've got the Pacific Islands, which is starting to become so much stronger. We've seen that with Samoa, Tonga, obviously New Zealand in the World Cup. You've got Perth, which is a viable option. They've been there before, and I know that. But were we ready for it then? Possibly not. Are we ready for it now? Look, I don't know. Time will tell. But what I will say is this: that is definitely a time zone that suits the game.
Absolutely.
You know what? Is New Zealand another option? I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, you know what? I look at it and I just go, what? There's multiple options to consider.
Absolutely.
And I'd just like to see the red and black back, and the Mighty Bears logo,
Absolutely.
emblem,
That's what it's
just
all about.
shining proudly in the NRL competition. We are a foundation club, been around since 1908, and continue to just fight that fight.
Absolutely. That's what we've been doing since 1908, mate.
Yep.
It's just fighting.
Correct.
And that's the Bears. We just fight no matter what happens. We get up and go again next week.
And I know there's plenty of supporters out there who love the Bears and who have very little interest in the game now because the Bears aren't there anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
I understand that. I totally do. And it's a bit of a shame because they're probably missing out, especially this season, on what has been an amazing rugby league season.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I understand where they come from, and I can appreciate their thoughts and ideas behind that. But
ultimately,
if it does mean the Bears get back in at some stage, hopefully those supporters come out of the woodwork again, and get behind the red and black, because
absolutely,
we're certainly going to need them. And we've seen the success of what the Dolphins have done this year, and the support they're getting. You know what? I think the game is ready for further expansion. Is it about the quality of player? That's another question. But ultimately, I think from a TV perspective, you've got to bear in mind 17 teams is still only 8 games. 18 teams gives you 9 games.
That's right.
Right,
Exactly.
and that puts more value on your TV rights. Suddenly, it means more dollars into the game. All these things need to be factored and considered. But like I said, I think it'll seriously be a commercial decision. And one that the powers that be at the NRL headquarters are thinking about and considering. Well and truly.
Absolutely. All right then, Micheal Buettner, thank you very much for joining Yassen Countrywide, mate. We really do appreciate your time and the efforts and stuff, and bring back the Bears.
Bring back the Bears. Good on you, Marty. Thanks, buddy.